So, Iman, I want to welcome you to the summit, and I'm glad that you decided to come and to share with us because you and I met through a collaboration a few months ago. We're basically the same person, right? We both love entrepreneurship. We both love buying businesses and fixing them or growing them. And when I was talking with you, one of the things that we talked about was collaboration instead of competition, right? And that was kind of the origin of our meeting. But as the conversation continued, you begin to talk about alternative stages and different ways for speakers to find ways to monetize their message. And I know you're doing some great things with Speaker Tunity and with Actionera. And I just wanted you to come on to talk about some of the alternative stages and ways that speakers can monetize their messages through networking, collaboration, and things of that sort. So tell us a little bit about you, to kind of bring us up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. First, thank you very much for having me here, man. This is very exciting. As you said, like when we met, it was like brothers from two different mothers. Like we have like we've lived parallel lives, and I gotta say this because we have two different skill sets. Like what the skill set I built, you have a different skill set, and like um, it was amazing. It was fascinating the first meeting that you and I had because that shows like how you can have different skill sets and still like work on them and grow and still like get the same results and live a parallel life to another person that is absolutely doing something else but is exactly like getting the same results. And then come together and collaborate with one another and then take it like to a whole new level. I think after that meeting when you and I made a deal that resulted in like skyrocketing, like the part of the things that both of us were missing, and yet we grew together. Like it was amazing. Anyways, like it's one of my favorite stories. Maybe at one point we even get to that, but dude, I'm excited for being here. So as I said, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Actionera, which is a mobile app marketing platform, and also I'm the owner of Next Gen Collaboration Circle, which is the company that bought Speaker Unity and JB Insider Circle and Entrepreneurs International Network. So we have a lot of community, and we work with speakers, coaches, authors, program leaders. Like we help them to share their message and find the stages and also monetize their content. So technically, kind of parallel lives to what you're doing with all the amazingness that you're bringing to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's really cool. So one of the things that I think you've mastered, like I'm an introvert. I kind of stick to myself, do my thing, outside of talking to my team every day. I'm pretty much just gonna work all day, right? But you've done everything that you do through collaboration and through partnerships and networking and things of that sort. How important is that for a speaker?
Oh, absolutely, it's important. Absolutely. Like, Ron, I can actually tell a little story of myself about being a speaker because that may actually put certain things that I say into perspective. But I'm originally from Iran, and my dream was becoming an international professional public speaker. This is like back in 2007, 8. I was looking at people like Oprah, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. I was excited, inspired. I was looking at them, I'm like, look at them, changing people's lives, making a ton of money. I want to be one of them, right? And with an Iranian passport, it's very hard to travel. And also, I couldn't speak English. And I was like, okay, if I want to become an international speaker, I need to learn English, and I need to. Now, back then, AI didn't exist. That would translate you automatically at the same time, right? So, anyway, so because of that dream, I actually immigrated to North America. It was easier for me to come to Canada, so I actually immigrated to Canada, and then I started learning English. Then I started like building my life. And 2009 was right after 2008 recession, right? So it was very hard to find a job. So I kind of like started absolutely from scratch as a speaker, right? And and almost became homeless, like on the path of the dream of becoming an international professional public speaker. I gave up on my dream. Um, and then I started like kind of learning like how to get on stage. Now the key to how to get on stage for me at the time, because I was a bad speaker, I was awful speaker, dude, like awful speaker, right? I mean I couldn't even speak English properly. Like, even to date, like right now, sometimes my team tells me, Iman, you speak your version of English, but like that's like we literally have a word in the company that says Iman writes it, we Englishify it to send it out to people, right? Like that's right. And yet, so imagine like now it's 15 years later, right? Now roll the clock back 15 years ago, right? So, anyways, I was an awful speaker, didn't know presentation skills. I couldn't even make people smile. Like, I'm very funny in Farsi, but I could not make a simple joke in English that make anyone, like, nobody would even understand that I'm making a joke, right? So, I mean, I spent years, I hired the person that was working with Robin Williams to coach me on how to do stand-up comedy. Like I spent years developing the skills, right? Yet in 2010, I started landing stages. And a lot of people ask me, is like, wait a second, 2010, you couldn't speak properly. You didn't have great content. You still even hadn't developed proper content of yourself. You had no relationship, no connection. No, how were you getting on stage when you were at that stage? And I said, relationships and connections. I mean, on the paper, I was the worst speaker. On the stage, I was also the worst speaker, right? But I learned how to make myself valuable to other speakers. And so, and to organizers, not to speakers, to organizers, right? But just so happens that I learned how to make myself valuable to these organizers who just so happen to be speakers as well. Okay. So what I I've studied MBA in online marketing, right? So even though I was a bad speaker, I still knew marketing, and I still like I had a lot of experience with marketing and everything. So, dude, here's what happened. Like literally, I was 17 days away from becoming homeless. I woke up in the last 11 months. I was looking for a job. Nobody had even given me an interview. Like I had not had a single interview in 11 months, applying for one job after another, right after 2008 recession. Nobody had a job, like what? So, anyways, so I woke up and I realized if I don't like do something in the next 17 days, I'm going to be homeless. And even if I get a job, the first paycheck is going to take 14 days to come. And so I'm going to be homeless one way or another, anyways, if I keep applying for jobs. So that day I was like, you know what, to hell with job. I gotta start my own business. Okay. And then I didn't know what to do, so I started a web design company because because it was easy to sell websites, right? Because anybody wants a website. Who doesn't want a website, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a web design company. I didn't know how to design websites still, right? But because of MBA in online marketing, I knew how websites work, right? I didn't know how to code. I didn't know how to build them. But I was like, okay, wait a second. But there's an issue here with this. Now I'm a new immigrant who can't speak English, who doesn't have any sample of jobs, and then saying is a web designer. Who's going to hire you? Okay. So same day, I was like, okay, I need to give myself credibility. And I went and started a meetup group. Back then, meetup.com was big. So I went to meetup.com and I searched for a cool name that nobody had used before, right? So I tried a few and realized nobody had ever used Vancouver Business Network. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, right? But nobody had used it, right? So I founded Vancouver Business Network at the time. And suddenly, like in a matter of like 2 minutes, I was the founder of Vancouver Business Network. Okay. So now I became the founder of Vancouver Business Network, who happens to have a web design company and is a new immigrant. You see the difference in positioning? Then I was like, okay, what if I'm the founder of Vancouver Business Network? I can do events. And then I was like, okay, if I can do events, who do I want to have at my on my stage? I said, like, I want to have other event organizers who speak. And if I give them my stage, they're going to give me their stage because they want to reciprocate, right? And that's exactly what I did. Like I started like reaching out to these organizers that were looking for stages, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm the founder of Vancouver Business Network. Difference in positioning, right? And I would love. I'm looking for great speakers, and seems that you do public speaking, and you have a great group called blah blah blah, right? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, I would love to talk. And I'm like, hey, if I put you on my stage, can you put me on your stage, right? And then they're like, oh, great. Like they didn't even check my one sheet, they didn't check my like, they didn't check anything. Like they wanted my stage, right? They wanted to speak on the stage of Vancouver Business Network, right? So, anyways, then I was like, we reciprocated the stages. But funny thing is that I was always telling them I want the stage in like 5 months down the road or 6 months down the road because I couldn't speak properly, right? So then I started like going to these Toastmasters clubs and started like I remember days that in one night I had like four roles in my Toastmasters club because like I wanted to do like everything and learn everything, right? Like I was spending like 12 hours a day working on my public speaking career, like learning how to do public speaking, all to sell websites. And then so getting on the stage, talk about websites and then selling web design, right? And anyways, long story short, I got lucky. I found my first clients 3 days after I started all of these. That client paid me $1,800, paid for the money. There's a long story, but anyway, but that's how I actually like I started my entire career out of collaboration. So of course, because I started with collaboration, I became really good at collaboration. Now you said you're an introvert. Funny enough, I'm an introvert. Like I am so introvert that if I go to an event and I'm not a speaker at that event, you find me under the last table, like hiding from everybody else, like just trying like for all the breaks to end, all the hugging and high fives to end, just to come out and so like I always become friends with the organizers of the event. Just go sit in the back and try to avoid like people because I just like can, right? Like, but that's the level of introvertness that I have, and yet well, this Vancouver Business Network I'm talking about became Entrepreneurs International Network, right? So it has like 78,000 or 80,000 members today. And like I bought JD Insider Circle, which is one of the largest joint venture networks about speaker community and at the community. One of the most introverted people in the world ended up being like the guy that is like has networks of hundreds of thousands of people, which is the funniest thing. Um, but because but 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 it was like all as the result of positioning myself, creating reciprocity and reciprocation power, right? And so, and sometimes people ask me today, like, Iman, well, back in the day, like Meta was a thing. I'm like, okay, well, Meta was a thing, but you can do summits today. You can do podcasts. You can even like, there's just so many opportunities out there. Like simple thing try to connect with 2 to 5 other experts in the industry today. Like every day wake up and I'm like, how can I find 5 people that are doing cool things, are doing podcasts, are doing summits, are doing all of these different things, right? And just try to get on a call with like one of them every day. So that gives you like 5 people a day, working days, right? 5 people a week, right? If you're connecting with 5 people a week, in 20 weeks, you have a list of 100 people that are hosts of podcasts, summits, events. Now, guess what? 3 weeks in, you're talking to somebody else who is a host of a podcast, and you say, well, who are you looking for? And they say, oh, I'm looking for experts that are talking about health. And you're like, oh, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to this person. There's a health podcast. And last week, I talked to this person. Do you like me to send an introduction email for you? And they're like, oh, yeah, great. They're like, okay, fantastic. And that was great. Now, I am looking for stages for finance. Do you just so happen to know anything that's in the finance? Or like, oh yeah, yeah, I may know this person. I was on this podcast that might be, and that's how you expand your network. Like, literally, people say, I don't know anyone. It's just because you are not looking for people. Like there's absolutely zero excuse for not becoming an influential person And all you need is just an Excel sheet, their name, their email, their phone number, their like what it is they do, who it is they're looking for, and how they are promoting themselves, and what it is that they can do for others, right? Like you just need to have like one Excel sheet, and every day that you connect and talk to people, you just add this. We call this a master JV master list. So you just build your own JV master list. Where to find them? I don't know. Go to LinkedIn. Go to a JV summit. Go to a networking. Like at the end of this interview, I'm going to give people a ticket to like influencer circle. There's just so many of them out there. So there is absolutely zero excuse for not being an influential person today. The only excuse is, which is not an excuse, it's actually the reason, is like, I'm not interested. I don't care about being an influential person. I don't care about others. And so, also, if that's the case, then you can't be an influential person because you just simply don't care about about like becoming one, right? But that's another story. Anyways,
I think the essence of being a speaker is to be influential. You're trying to influence people with your words. So I don't know why they wouldn't want to follow your advice, because it's like, well, that's the whole purpose of their speaking career.
the mindset. I tell you about the mindset. Okay, so sometimes people think um, other people that have success, somebody came and discovered them and gave them all of these things because of their content was great. Okay, newsflash is that nobody cares about your content alone. Okay, like I know that you want to say like, oh, you've spent 35 years to learn this content. Most likely, people find that content on ChatGPT today. Okay, nobody cares about your content. People care about your content and what you can do for them. Okay, your content and how you can present it. Um, the other day, I was actually sitting in a room with the organizers of a few events, and they were talking about like who are the worst speakers. And they were saying like professors. Professors are the worst speakers, like people who have spent like 35 years teaching at universities because they got used to presenting to these audiences, forced to sit in front of them, and and they don't get up and leave, right? So of course, then they get used to like just kind of lazy way of presenting. So anyway, but long story short, like nobody cares about your content alone. You need to have content, you need to have presentation skills, you need to show up, you need to be entertaining, you need to educate, you need to make people laugh, as well as you need to have extra values to your content. Like if they put your picture on their website, they will be able to sell more tickets. If they put your picture on someone, they will be able to attract more people. If they're having you on stage, it's because you can bring 20, 30, 40 people with you to that event, or through your own network. Or if they're putting it on the stage, you can connect them with five other super amazing joint venture partners that are going to work with them. You need to have more value than just your content if you want to consistently land things. Now, that means that you need to create alternative stages for yourself on a regular basis. Are you creating social media content on a regular basis? Are you creating Instagram Reels? Are you creating TikToks? Are you creating LinkedIn? Are you creating all of those things? Um, and then, like, do you have a mailing list? Are you monetizing that mailing list through your programs, through your offers? Do you have an actual following that when you send an email to people say, "Oh, Iman is telling me to go to this event." So there is value in it because I trust Iman, right? So do you have that leadership? It's not just about, and sometimes it's not about the size of the leadership. Sometimes it's just about the existence of the leadership. So many speakers just have content and zero leadership. And what I mean by that is that they have zero followers. You cannot be a leader if you don't have followers. If you don't have people who are following you, you're a lone weirdo, really. That has spent like 20 years, like becoming an expert and never shared it. Like seriously, I mean, right? Like we have this saying that we say like this person is a closeted entrepreneur because so many people just sit there in their place. and they just produce one PDF, amazing quality PDF. They never publish it, they never share it, right? So then they create the next course, nobody hears about it. They create the next program, nobody hears about it. And they talk to them, you talk to them, and they're like, how many programs do you have? 65. How many have you sold? Nothing. Why? You create one PDF and you get like 10 million people download. You just keep sharing that PDF. You don't need to create 65 PDFs and give them to no one. You create one and go everywhere and build your leadership. Like you literally get one follower at a time. And everybody starts with 0 followers. I mean, except the annoying sister and brother that, I mean, come and comment, or cousin that come and comment on everything that you do, and then you're like, can we please not comment these things? But anyway, but beside those, right, you most likely begin with like 0 followers, right? And yet we build one follower at a time. The question is not the size of your leadership. The question is the existence of your leadership. Does your leadership exist? Like, are you producing content and share it every single day? In and good thing is that we have so many alternative stages. So many alternative stages. The stage is not just events anymore. Actually, events, we're dealing with a lot with a big thing that we either have very large events or we have very small events. Like we either are dealing with like this event that's like 5,000 people, 6,000, 10,000, or we are dealing with events that are like 30 people there, 50 people there, 20 people, 5 people there, right? And then kind of in the middle, like events that are 300, 400, 200 are disappearing, like it's becoming like too big of a gap these days. And it's because a lot of people are switching to alternative sources of content. So people are not attending webinars, they're spending hours on TikTok. People are not watching as much TV as they used to, but they're spending hours and hours on YouTube Shorts, not YouTube long form, but YouTube Shorts or Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels. Um, and so that combination of switching of the attention to our different forms of content and lack of interest in going to events, um, then it forces the speakers to not forces, but like it actually creates an opportunity for speakers to to be on alternative stages. And if you don't act fast enough, you really are gonna miss out on the boat of being on podcasts, being on like doing collaborative Instagram videos or TikTok videos, and like doing all of those collaborations. And the collaborations play an extremely important role when it comes to your content and your leadership.
I think a lot of speakers were sold a dream, right? Buy my $15,000 course, you will make $18 million in 3 months with no experience just because you bought my course on how to speak. And I don't think that that's necessarily true, right? Because you got to get better. Just like any other skill or any other profession, you have to get better. Over time, you practice, you get better. It would be insane for us to believe that when LeBron James was 6 and he said, you know what, I want to be an NBA player, that they just put him in the NBA. He spent 13 years practicing playing basketball before he was the 19-year-old kid in the NBA. And I think we kind of think, well, I've been talking my whole life, so I'm a speaker. Well, no, you're a talker, but that's a different profession. I mean, it's the truth, right? So
Fair enough, yeah.
I like the concept that you created your own stage with that Vancouver group. So instead of going with your hand out, you went offering something. You offered them an opportunity to promote what they have and to become part of your Vancouver business network. And by giving first, you were able to get something. So you created your own stage in order to receive invitations to be on other people's stages. That stage became a currency that you exchanged, right? You exchange that like you would exchange dollars in order to build that. I think that that's incredible. What are your thoughts about speakers or thought leaders, as we should say, creating their own stages and their own platforms.
Well, I'm all in with that. As we were talking right before we get started recording. So here's what's happening. There is a huge, massive shift in people's content consumption. Okay, right now, an average person picks up their phone 144 times a day. 144 times a day. They pick up their phone, they look at the screen of their phone. That's an average of 12 times per hour. 12 times per hour. Okay. Now, um, that means that right now, and this is an interesting, like some interesting statistics, 90% of push notifications that get sent through mobile apps to people's phones get read within the first hour. 90% of them within the first hour. And an average push notification on a person's mobile phone, they get people click on them about 32 to 40%. 32 to 40% of people. Now, interesting thing, that number in email marketing, which is one of the most effective ways of marketing, is only 1 to 2%. So comparing push notification marketing is right. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are also spending about 4 to 6 hours a day watching reels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. 4 to 6 hours a day people are watching these short videos, right? On average. Now, the issue with these short videos is that you are not in control of who sees them. Like you cannot send a push notification to the person to say like, "Hey, I just so happened that I have this video," right? So you're not in control of those push notifications. So first and foremost, of course, creating content for social media would be great for reaching the market or the group of people that don't know you. Okay, so that's a great alternative thing. If you want to reach people that don't know you at all, definitely look into producing content for these platforms in short forms, right? However, one of the things that most people forget about is now that you get this person's attention, you need to move them from their social media platform and bring them to your platform. And that's the part that the majority of people miss out on. Ron, the other day I saw statistics that 90% of social media influencers with over 1 million followers are making less than six figures. Why? Because um, they are not they are not monetizing their content with the most monetization technique, with the most effective monetization techniques. So what they're making money on is on advertisement. Okay. And I saw actually a video of a guy that had a short video. The video had 294 million views. 294 million views, right? And so you look at that, you're like, wow, you have 294 million views on this video, which he doesn't get like on every single one of his videos. So like he has like 85 videos. One of them has 294 million, and the other like 84 has 294 combined even, right? But but then he was showing us, he was like, okay, everybody thinks that we are very well off. Let me show you the truth. And he logged into the back end of his system. He had generated $1,800 from 294 million views on his short video. Very well known influencer, very well known, right? And to put this in perspective, the official trailer for Mission Impossible at the time that his video had 294 million views, the official Mission Impossible video had 240 million views. So his video has even outperformed Mission Impossible's official trailer, right? Anyways, long story short, um, the key to this though is that when you get the view, how many of these views are you converting to your platform? And the question is that do you have your platform? And when I like all of these that I'm saying is that the reason that we created Action Era platform, so we created a platform for people to build their own mobile apps. So you get the person, they see you on YouTube, they see you on Instagram, they see all of those things, and tell them like, hey, if you want a resource to help you with this thing, go here and download it. Like give them a PDF, right? That PDF gets them on your mailing list. Number one, build your mailing list, right? Potentially even get your text message, like ask them, tell them, like, hey, put your name and phone number, right? But then also on the next page after that, what we allow our members to do is allow them to give their followers an option to download their mobile app, their branded mobile app. And now you have them on email, you have them on text message, but also you have them to have your mobile app. Now think about it this way. What if once a week you could educate your followers, people that really love you, trust you, right? And send them a push notification to say, hey, by the way, I just published this video. You can't do that with YouTube. You can't do that with Instagram. You can't do that with Facebook. You are not in charge of those push notifications on those companies, but you are in charge of those push notifications through your own app. So you're like, hey, I just published this video, and people watch that video because they are your fans, they are followers. They click on the push notification, 40%. Click on that push notification. If you send that as email, it's only 2%. Sending that push notification is 40%, 20 times higher, right? So you click on the people click on the video, they go watch it, and then at the end you say this magical sentence. If you don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walk you every step of the way, click on the button below and book a call with me to see if one of my mentorship programs can help you. That's a 5K client. That's a 6K, 8K, 10K client. Many times, many times speakers think somebody's going to hire us to speak on their stage and pay us $15,000. Well, what if somebody doesn't need to hire you to pay you 15K and you don't need to go through all the work that is required to get there? What if somebody can just see you online, get educated by you, and then just come online and book a call with you and pay you 5K, 10K, 15K for your higher end offer? And then people may say at this time, but Iman, I don't have a 5K, 10K, 20K offer. Well, if you don't have a 5K, 10K, 20K offer, guess what? Would be very hard to pay you 15K for speaking for an hour. If you cannot, if you do not have a 15K offer for the year, you probably would have a little bit of a harder time getting 15K for an hour. Like, I mean, not that it's not possible, but that means that you're in the process of your journey, that you need to learn how to build these offers, how to educate yourself. And guess what? This is a damn good business. And yes, you need to learn the skills. And if you don't have them, well, like any other business, you need to learn the skills. And this is the skill you need to learn. Learn the skill, grow, and just do wonders, because there's a beautiful business where you change people's lives, make good money. But it's not like anybody off the street can come with no skills and expect to make millions. And anybody who tells you that you can do it without skills, be very careful and most likely run, right? Learn the skills, do the hard thing, and and enjoy what it gives you as a result.
How valuable and how important is it for? So here's the mindset that I have, or the paradigm that I use, is that a speaker has intellectual property, and their job is to translate that intellectual property into different products. Their voice on stage is one product. Their book may be another product. An online course may be another product. A coaching program, consulting. These are different productizations of that intellectual property. How important is that in building the speaking business, and not just saying I'm a speaker because someone paid me to come talk? How much are they missing by not having the other parts of that product
Oh, a
mix?
lot, a lot. I mean, like it doesn't make sense. Like you're not just just saying that I am a speaker. means that I'm ignoring all the facts about this business. Like Brian Tracy is not just a speaker, is a speaker, is an author, is a program leader. Tony Robbins is a speaker, is an author, is a program leader. This business is not like you're not in the business of speaking, you're in the expert's business. An expert is a speaker, author, coach, program leader. Tony Robbins has his $125,000 mastermind. He has his 3 day events. He 4 5 days event, 5 day events. He has his books. He has his training. Successful people in this industry are not just speakers, they're like we are in the experts industry, meaning that we are speakers, authors, coaches, and program leaders all at the same time. And by the way, when it comes to coaching, you can treat it two ways. One, you can treat it as what ICF says, International Coaching Federation says, which means that you sit there, ask the right questions, and enable people to find the right answers from within. Or you can treat and you can say that that is my business. I'm just a coach. Okay, just so you know, an average coach makes less than $30,000 a year. Or you can say I have coaching skills and I create amazing programs and I use my coaching skills. I'm not an ICF certified coach because I chose not to be, because I did not want to not be able to create programs. I'm a program leader that has coaching skills. Long story short, here's an interesting thing. I'll put this very simply for you. I have a program that you can buy the book for it for $1 on Kindle. You can buy that book for $20 as a physical book. You could buy that as a course for $500 and spend 6 weeks with me on a group program. You could hire our team for $5,000 to $8,000 for the exact same content, but they will work with you one on one for 6 months. You could join my 25K mastermind program to work with me over the next year to follow that process. It was not the content, it was content mixed with accountability plus support that identifies the value of your content. People don't pay you for your content. People pay you for how you hold them accountable while providing the content so they can produce the results.
I got one last question. I know we got 3 minutes left. When you were first starting off, you had accountability. That accountability was in the form of, I need to pay my rent.
Not wrong.
Right? There was a consequence. And when I think of accountability, I think of a consequence, right? So there was a consequence if you didn't do what you needed to do with your web design company in order to pay the rent, right? Most speakers come into this business with a comfortable lifestyle beforehand. They're usually corporate executives, they're usually entrepreneurs, they usually have had some real world experience and they're speaking part time. How important is that accountability piece while they're making that transition? Because they may be experts on their knowledge, but they may not be experts on being an entrepreneur or transitioning into running their own business. You know, like at your job, you have a boss that's holding you accountable and they'll fire you. In your own business, if you never reach out to people or you never make the connections, your life really doesn't change. It just stays wherever it was before that ineffectiveness happened. How important is that accountability?
That accountability is massive. And the more you do your business, the more you realize that your accountability and your reason for being out there is much bigger than actually paying the rent. Ron, if you hadn't built the business that you built, and you don't need the money right now, but if you, I mean, you and I can both like literally scale back, and with the automated stream of income that we have, we're going to be fine. Okay, if we scale back, like we let go of the team members, everything, like you and I can go and live in Thailand or Ecuador or whatever we want in the world for that matter. We'll be fine, right? I shut down one of my companies a year ago, still pays my entire expenses of the month, like personal expenses of the month. I haven't done a thing with it for a year, and it's still like it's paying entire my expense of the month. Right? So, but why don't we stop? What's wrong with you and me? right? What's wrong with you and me is that we are not here just for the money. We are here for the impact. We did not know this when we started, but the work that you do changes people's lives. The work that I do changes people's lives. And the work of that executive that doesn't realize that it's not all about money, it's all about the change and the impact that you make in people's lives. Um, is the reason we go back to work the next day and the next day and the next day. And many nights we can't sleep because we know that at the end of the month we need to pay, we need to make payments, we need to pay salaries, and we need to do all of those things. And we can totally like step back and not have this, and yet we choose to do it because we know it's not just about us. It's about the impact and the work that we do in the world. And 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 the more you do it, the more you realize the importance of your role in the world and how you change people's lives. Your accountability is extremely important because it's what gets you to realize who you even are and the massive impact you can make in the world. Because we are far more important in the world than we realize before we see it. But and then when we see it, we're like, oh shit, oh, I did not realize that's my role in the world. And so we choose to continue. So I have huge respect for you, Ron, because what I just said probably goes over the head of many people, and yet you and I know what that means. And for that, I have massive respect for you, man, for uh, to to play the game and stay in and continue making the impact you're making in the world.
No, I really appreciate it. Well, Aman, I appreciate you taking the time to share all of these gems. This is one of those, I'll give you a secret. If anybody's watching this, you should probably take the transcript of this, right? This is what I would do. I would take the transcript of all of the things that he talked about, and I would put it in the chat GPT, and I would say, give me a detailed outline of this talk, and then go through and look at the gems. I mean, there were a lot of them in there, from the hard work that it took, the easy work of networking and using your network, um, looking to collaborate first um, versus to go and ask for money, right? You had I guess, a speech debilitation where you couldn't speak English clearly, but you were smart enough to plan it out 6 months ahead of time where you could get better. Those investments are incredible. And I appreciate you taking the time to share those gems. Again, people should take this transcript and put it in the chat GPT, because there's like 3 books worth of information in here that I think will be life changing. And they should definitely use Actionera, and use the what is the new speaker trinity called? Because I don't remember.
Next Gen Collaboration Circle.
Okay, and use the Next Gen Collaboration Circle. They have a lot of great resources. Um, the JV network that he purchased. Someone else was telling me about that the other day, and I was like, dude, I didn't even know he had that. You know. So no, this has been good. I appreciate the time. I know you got to run, and you're always welcome on our stage.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everyone at Next Gen Influencer Circle or any other place, any event, and catching up. Thank you very much, Ron. Really appreciate you, brother. And yeah, and thanks for doing great, great work.
Thank you.